Good morning on this Sunday Gamecock football day, and that's one thing that's kind of strange. And another thing I noticed, if I'm gonna keep doing this, I might want to invest in some makeup. Lord have mercy. Anyhow, uh, so much has happened since my last video, and I had a whole long list of things I wanted to cover, and I haven't gotten to them. And then Friday happened, so I'm going to cover what I wanted to cover first, and then I'm going to get to the events on Friday. Okay, the first thing I want to discuss is something I read last week about veterans hospitals. Well, they're not being fixed like Obama promised. It was almost 2.5 years ago he made his speech and just went off about this and that. We were going to fix this, we were going to do that. Well, some of the same things are happening. We've got 55,000 veterans homeless. We've got 22 veterans a day killing themselves. And then the story comes out, Hines, Illinois, Hines, not the ketchup Hines. And it turns out they've got a morgue stacked with body bags of decomposing bodies to the point to where one of the bags had been there so long that it exploded. I'll pause for you to think about that for a second. Yep, veterans who served this nation are left in a morgue to rot in bags. But yet, our government and our president promised to take care of all the ill wills and all the problems with the VA. Well, I don't think it's being addressed. And the same thing is happening. And of course, Hillary is saying the same garbage, and no one's ever held accountable. These same damn people still have jobs, and we're still paying them. And yet, our veterans who have served this country and sacrificed more than 99% of us have are left to rot in a morgue. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Yes, that's right, I am. Republican Kool-Aid. Well, what used to be the Republican Party. Anyhow, my point today also, besides the Veterans Administration being a joke and a disgrace, a national disgrace that just billions of dollars is poured into, and we can't take care of our vets. But another Obama promise just gone by the wayside. I'm going to talk about the issues that really mean something to your family and your paycheck. The difference between Hillary and Trump. And then I'm going to get back to the story that everybody wants to talk about. First off, the economy. Well, the economy has been stifled by the policies that this government has just shoved down our throats. People don't even realize the effect of Obamacare unless you're trying to have a business or run a business. Well, Obamacare is collapsing as we speak. There are 26 of the exchanges, 17 of them are going belly up. And their answer to that is increased fines, all right, for the public that's not going to want to buy in. We're going to have a bailout, a taxpayer bailout to the insurance companies to keep them liquid so they can stay in business. Are you kidding me? We dropped like, I think, $2 trillion on Obamacare, and it's collapsing, and everybody's paying more for their insurance. But their answer is some more bailout with tax dollars and higher fines. I mean, I'm not an economics major, and I just don't see how that would ever work or how anybody is supposed to believe that. But that's what they're suggesting. Well, it's failing, and they don't want to admit it. And it's, the Hillary Clinton campaign talks about how she wants to expand it to include illegals. Well, it's not working for America So how's it ever going to work when they expand it and include illegals too? It's almost comical, but it's not funny because I see my premiums. It's like, what? I'm paying how much for my insurance, and I'm a healthy person, and my deductible is how much? Well, that's what it is, but they don't want to talk about it. Well, the average premium cost, now the average, they're going to be out before Election Day. It's a 24% increase. That's the average. Some states were seeing as high as 60% increase in their premiums. And already before this increase, there are millions of families that are paying more for their insurance than their home mortgage. Well, that's not what we plan on when you have a life. You don't plan on your insurance costing more than your biggest investment, your home. And that's what's happening. But they want to tell us this is the best thing ever because we've got 25 million more Americans insured. All right. I work in a damn ER. I know what it's like. The ERs are now docking the boxes for everybody because everybody thinks healthcare is damn free. Well, it's not. The middle class is paying for it, and we've been screwed. Well, that's the big part of the economy. Well, people don't understand that when you take healthcare and you combine that with such a big liability on business, it's not going to stay solid. It's just going to collapse. And that's what's happening. You can't hire people. You can't afford to give them insurance, and then when you do give them insurance, they're having to pay a whole lot more for it, and your deductibles are like tripled of what they used to be. It's just not going to work. Well, everybody knows it, and the media should be on it like crazy. Now, then you get the President Clinton, who called it the craziest thing he's ever heard. He called it out for what it is. I mean, that's Hillary's husband who's campaigning for her, calling it for what it is, the craziest thing he's ever seen. And that's what it is. He called it for what it is. Thank you, Bill Clinton, for having a moment of clarity. Then the economy is struggling because of government regulations. They regulated things to death. And to get anything done in the business world, I mean, you might as well run for Congress. It's ridiculous. They have so many regulations and laws and rules, it makes it to where you can't do it. You can't afford to do it, and you can't afford to hire anybody because of the Obamacare restrictions. It's just stupid. Econ 101 says that it's all stupid, but, they don't want to read that stuff. They don't want to have common sense. Then she talks about how she's going to tax the top 1% and pay for all she's suggesting. That's total garbage too. We're $20 trillion in debt. $20 trillion. I don't know why people can't understand that. It's insane. But yet, she's going to tax just that 1% who's going to flee this country and close their damn businesses, less jobs, less money. It's just a damn downhill spiral that she will create because Obama started it. He's doubled the damn debt. It's ridiculous. Then you've got where she's going to increase the estate tax as high as 65%. Now, granted, she talks about how that's on the uber rich, but it also going to be higher rates for everybody else too. Don't be damn fooled. So basically, what you do is the estate tax is robbery. Always has been, always will be. So you work all your life until you die. You scrape together what you can save and leave behind for your loved ones, and then you've already paid taxes all your life on that stuff and property. Everything you've accumulated, you've paid taxes all along your entire life. So then you're in the damn ground or in an urn, which I'll be in an urn, I think. Cheaper. Anyhow, you do that, and then they come back, well, Joe's got 10 grand. No, it's not a lot, but he's got 10 grand for you, and we're going to take half of that. Well, I mean, come on. How is that ever remotely fair when you've been taxed on that same money and same stuff all your life? They're going to hit you again. as you go off. Immigration. Now, I've already told you, that she talks about open borders an awful lot, and we already know that in her email, she's kind of proved that to be true. So we're going to expand Obamacare. We're going to have more immigrants. We're going to bring in Syrians, and we're going to take care of them too. But, I have yet to hear how we're going to pay for it, because that 1%, they're getting the hell out of this country. I can guarantee you that's what's going to happen. So let's talk about what Trump's suggestion is. He's got a simple tax plan compared to the 60-odd pages of taxes and regulations that Hillary has on her webpage. Trump talks about lowering corporate tax, lowering taxes for everybody, getting rid of the estate tax for one thing, and then all of a sudden, think about this. We've got lower corporate tax, business comes back, more jobs, more money, more spending. More jobs, you have a bigger tax base. That's when you can do things. But when you tax it to death, business flees, jobs flees, your tax base shrinks, and then you've got this. That's what we've got. 95 million people are not working. That's an awful lot of people that are not working, that are not contributing to society. You can't sustain it. And then she wants to bring in more open borders, and then we've got just a compounded mess. The next issue would be ISIS and global jihad. Well, she thinks that what we're doing now is going to work. Well, the whole Obama-Clinton doctrine created this mess. I've already discussed that in length. My whole timeline is a trail of damn horror that they've created. Regardless of that, she's not going to do anything about it any more than what Obama's doing now. And it's going to be a ground war again. And that's what nobody wants, obviously, but that's the reality of it all. Now, remember how when Obama and Clinton talk about, how the Forces of Agreement Act, we couldn't sign it because the Bush administration had signed that, and the Forces of Agreement Act basically says, we can have so many troops there. Well, they couldn't agree on it, so Obama said we're pulling them all. Well, that was, kind of fishy when you had all the cards to begin with. You could have done what you wanted to do. I mean, we were there. We could have done what we wanted to do. He was the damn president of the United States, after all. But he wanted to move the troops. He did. Well, regardless of that, considering there's no agreement, we've got 6,000 plus troops there now. So that's kind of a moot point, considering we've got over 6,000 troops there now in some form or another. And we've had some men killed there recently. And that's what's happening. But, we had to get all the troops out because we couldn't agree on how many to leave there. So we had to get them all out. So we can't have troops back on the ground. But 6,000 on the ground now don't count. Well, that's all the load of garbage they feed us. And they have been feeding us all this time, the entire Obama administration. Well, regardless of that, Hillary's not going to do anything about it. Now, Trump talks about how he's not going to talk about what he's going to do, but he's got some very impressive generals around him that I'm impressed with and I trust more than any political person ever. They know what it's all about. They know the war we're fighting. They know the reality of it all, and that it's real and it's a present danger. And it's got to be addressed. They know what to do, and I trust them in the Pentagon to do what needs to be done, because when we let that happen, we have success versus letting politics get involved in it. The entire Obama-Clinton doctrine created the immigration crisis to begin with. I mean, if they had done what they were supposed to do, what the Pentagon asked them to do, what every military advisor ever said, we wouldn't have what we have now. But regardless of that, Clinton's answer to it is to bring more into Europe, more into the United States. We're going to take care of them all. And the hell with the violence we have to endure in the meantime. Well, I've got friends in Europe. I talk to folks over there. I read the papers over there, and I've said it a million times, it is a horror show. There are bus lines and trains in Germany that are being segregated to women and children to avoid being molested by the Muslim immigrants on these said trains. It got to that point where they had to separate it to protect the females and children of their cities. Well, instead of addressing the issue, let's just go ahead and get separate buses for them. It's stupid. But Angela Merkel is brought them in here, and that's Hillary's hero. A phone call interruption. They don't know I'm making this video. Well, anyway, obviously, immigration is not going to be resolved by Hillary, and then everybody says, well, we're all racist for worrying about who's coming in our country. That does not make us a racist for worrying about what is being brought into our country. When I see what's happening in Europe, I mean, there's a long damn list of what happened this past summer in Europe. I mean, Paris, Belgium, Nice, France. I mean, all these things happen, and it's all related to what they allowed into their countries. That's the bottom line. Well, Trump comes out and says we got to vet these people. We've got to stop bringing anybody in from war-torn regions, which that kind of makes sense, but because common sense now means you're a racist for wanting to protect your homeland, that's what happens now. You're a racist because you have this fear of a record of horror you've already seen. It's already there. Well, basically, that's what I want to discuss before I get to the elephant in the room and what came out Friday. But Hillary is wrong for the economy. It's just not going to, you can't pile on what we're doing now. I mean, it's never going to work. Trump has some suggestions along with what Congress is suggesting that might actually give us a shot to turn the economy around and get rid of the job-killing, economy-killing Obamacare. And then we're going to have, the healthcare issue. That is all in line with the economy. We got to get rid of Obamacare and go back to a market-based healthcare. I can go for days on market-based economy and what it would do to healthcare, but they don't want to do it. They want the insurance companies to control it and the government to control it, which that's just stupid. And that's why we have the mess we have now. So she's not going to take care of that. She wants to expand Obamacare. She's not going to address the global jihad and what ISIS is and on the damn 30 countries they're in now. And the immigration issue is, she talks about open borders. So I don't think she's going to address immigration. And she's already said she's going to bring in more Syrian refugees, which it only takes one to kill and maim a lot of people. We've already seen that happen. Only takes one. Trump does have some ideas that, will actually possibly work. Hillary is just more of the same. So basically, we can go with the status quo, pile on what we have now, or we can take a chance with Trump and try to have some legislation and actually get it signed into law and actually do it. Bring in jobs, lower taxes, better health care, get rid of Obamacare, nothing that Hillary's promoting. Now, let's get to the elephant in the room about Friday. Friday afternoon, WikiLeaks, as promised, the October surprise, dumped over 2,000 emails from her chief of staff, her speeches, the transcripts from those, and what she said in those really high-paid speeches she made to, Wall Street and other places like that. Well, that came out, and then an hour later, coincidentally, a tape was released of Trump saying some off-the-cuff, terrible, disgusting remarks that really border on, I'll say it's sexual assault. And, I heard that and I thought, well, it's over because the media is going to run with that, and that's all they're going to run with. Everything that's in the emails that WikiLeaks released is now a moot point because all we're talking about is what Trump said. Well, CNN had a panel discussion just yesterday on what Trump said and what was going to happen and what should happen. Oh my gosh, it should have been a panel on what the Hillary email said. I mean, that should have been the topic, but I'm pretty sure that as WikiLeaks releases emails about Hillary and her trail of deception and how it leads to what she really believes and the Clinton Foundation and what they were doing, we're going to hear another tape of something that Trump said. Well, we already know many things about Trump. We know he's a womanizer. We know things he said. He's been on Howard Stern saying all kinds of inappropriate things. I mean, it's surprising that Trump, a millionaire, who's always been a millionaire, who's always had a privileged life, is going to be talking like that. It surprises us that women don't just flock to people like that. Have you ever been to an NBA game and seen the women on the sidelines and how they're trying to hook up with somebody? That's what they do. Rich men and women. And then these men get this mindset of that the world is their oyster. And that's what happens. That's what he was saying. It's disgusting and wrong, but how many sleazebags have we put on a pedestal in this country? Let's see, let's think of a couple. Let's look at one, Kim Kardashian. Her claim to fame was a sex tape. Her claim to fame was a sex tape. Yet she is uber rich now, worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She is on every tabloid, every magazine cover in this country, and she is held to the highest regard. But her claim to fame is a sex tape. But we're going to worry about what Trump said to another dude trying to be a braggart, basically, and thinking, his stuff doesn't stink. Well, I've been around a lot of men like that, and I don't necessarily like them, but that's what they are. But that's got nothing to do with what he is going to do for this country. It's got nothing to do with it. But we're going to focus on that. We're going to forget about Hillary. Hillary. Well, we know now that she wants open borders. She said it. It's in print. It's in a transcript. She believes it. She wants it. She says that. She wants one big country. Well, she's not saying that to the public who's trying to vote for her. She's not saying that at all. That's one thing. Then she talks about Wall Street, how Wall Street is the evildoers. We're going to take care of them. We're going to go after them. We promised Bernie Sanders we're going to go after them. Well, that's not what she's telling Wall Street. She's telling Wall Street that they can regulate themselves. They know best. They know how to take care of themselves. They don't need anybody to tell them what to do. They can regulate themselves. Well, that's two different things once again. Then what I found to be more disturbing, which I've always thought to be true, was the fact that she says that the regular people, the middle class and the poor and people that are not privileged, she's far removed from us now, and that we don't understand how it takes a private sector and a government sector to get things done. Well, I think we do understand that. The Clinton Foundation and the government, as you were Secretary of State, is just that. We understand the backroom deals, and it's all been shady. And we don't understand that. So she's telling them, her little cronies, that 1% that she's part of, that she's far removed from us. But then yet, she's with us. we're better together. That's a load of crap, and the people buy that stuff. And the the bottom line is it's all a false narrative for what the picture she paints for the public versus what she says in private. And it's all there, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Trump and what he said. We're going to let that disqualify him, but the criminality and malfeasance from Hillary Clinton and how she has two different beliefs or says two different things, we're going to elect her over comments made versus the actions of Hillary Clinton. I don't get it. You know, they were loving it when Trump said that because they think that's going to negate everything. Well, it's not. I really, truly believe. Now, this debate tonight is crucial. He's got to come off genuine, and she's got to be called out for what she is. Unless that happens, I don't know what's going to happen. But the bottom line is this. We've got Trump and Hillary. There ain't no telling what's going to happen to this country because what she says in private and what she's telling us are two different things. And what she's saying in private is more likely to happen than what she's telling us. So I don't like what she's telling everybody in private. It's very disturbing to say the least. But, you know, I'm not going to let what Trump said change my mind. And I truly believe that this election, if it's not stolen by fraud, is going to be more like a Brexit kind of result. Just like England thought that they were never going to depart the EU, well, they did. The public spoke. They're tired of it. They're tired of supporting the crap that the EU supported and all the money that goes in for nothing. And we're tired of the status quo we've got here too. And that's why I think Trump's going to win. If they don't steal it with fraud, I still think he's going to win, even with this tape. The media can go on a frenzy. Those of us that are informed and want to be saving this country and realize the choice we have is like we have America or we don't. That's the choice we have. So regardless of what Trump ever said or ever will say, I can't go with Hillary. That's the bottom line. To summarize, I've already told you everything you need to know about corrupt Hillary. Corruption, you look in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of her. I've already told you about the Obama-Clinton doctrine and what it's done to the world. I've already told you that the crisis in the Middle East, what ISIS and global jihad's doing, and the immigration crisis, and the 11 million people all over this world having nowhere to go. I've told you about that. I've told you about the Clinton Foundation. I've told you about that. I've told you about Trump's ideas about how we have an America or we don't. We can worry about some comments Trump made and just disqualify him totally, or we can elect Hillary Clinton, the most corrupt woman on the planet, and I've got a track record to prove it. It's all there. There's a record of it. She is the most corrupt woman on the planet. And I can't say it anymore. We can elect her, pile onto the status quo, and watch this country just crumble right underneath us. It will. I couldn't have been more accurate about Obama. I warned about his first election, and I warned about his second re-election and what it would mean. I cannot stress enough to believe me and vote for Trump. Everything I said about Obama has come to pass, but it's been even worse than I predicted. I can't stress enough. Do not vote Hillary. Do not. We've got to vote for Trump. It's our last shot at it. Otherwise, we will no longer be the United States of America. I don't know what will be. Vote Trump, and thanks for listening, and share if you will, if you're brave enough.